Shalom. We're up to chapter 22 in the Reconstructed Gospel according to the Hebrews. We'll go ahead and just jump right into it. Yeshua answered and spoke to them again in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who prepared a wedding ceremony for his son, and sent out his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast. But they would not come. Again he sent out other servants, saying, 'Tell those who are invited, behold, I have prepared a feast. The bridal party and the host are assembled, and all things are ready. Come to the wedding ceremony.' But they scorned it, and went away, some to the city, some to their businesses, and the rest grabbed his servants and abused them and killed them. The king heard this, and his anger was kindled, and he sent his hosts and destroyed those murderers and burned their city. Then he said to his servants, 'The wedding is ready, but those who were invited weren't worthy. Go therefore into all the highways, and as many as you find, invite them to the wedding ceremony.' Those servants went out into the highways and gathered together as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was filled with guests." Notice he sends his hosts and destroys those murderers and burn their city. This happened in 70 AD. So there's this question about why did Yeshua not return? Like, his return was expected. Why did he not return? Well, I tend to think he did. I think he returned, and I think he destroyed Jerusalem. This is what he did. He sent his host, destroyed the murderers, and burned their city. So Yeshua told us certain things to look for when he was returning, when he was coming in the clouds. One of those things was a sign of the Son of Man. So what was the sign in the heavens of his first coming? Well, it was the star that the Magi followed, right? And this star is usually depicted in Christian art as a star that's kind of shaped like a cross, right? Well, Josephus says that before the destruction of Jerusalem, there was a star that shone above the city. That sounds very similar to the star that shone above Bethlehem. And this star was shaped like a sword. So if you look at these drawings, the Christian art of the Star of Bethlehem, and yeah, it looks like a cross, but then you can also kind of see that it kind of looks like a sword too. And so I believe that this was the sign of the Son of Man, this star that Josephus mentioned. Also, both Josephus and the Roman historian Tacitus refer to the soldiers, the Roman soldiers reported seeing armies in the sky waging war against each other while they were waging war against Jerusalem. So the heavenly hosts were seen fighting in the clouds. The sign of the Son of Man was seen in the sky. And I believe that Yeshua was probably among the host of heaven waging war in the sky. I think he did return, and I think he did exactly what he said here in verse 7. He sent his host, destroyed those murderers, and burned their city. But when the king came in to see the guests, he saw that there was a man who didn't have on a wedding garment. By the way, if you read the Nazarene Acts, Peter tells you what the wedding garment represents. The wedding garment is what you receive at baptism. And he said to him, "My friend, how did you come in here not wearing wedding garments?" And he was silent. Then the king said to the servants, "Bind him hand and foot, take him away, and throw him out into outer darkness. That is where weeping and gnashing of teeth will be. For many are called, but few are the chosen." Then the Pharisees went and took counsel how they might entrap him in his talk. They sent their disciples to him, along with violent men from Herod, saying, "Teacher, we know that you are honest and teach the way of God in truth. You fear nothing and do not argue from appearances, but remain impartial. Tell us, therefore, what do you think? Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not? But Yeshua recognized their deceit and said, Why do you tempt me, you hypocrites? Show me the tax money. And they brought him a common one, a denarius, and he asked them, Whose likeness is this image and inscription? And they said to him, Caesar's. And then he said to them, Render therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. When they heard it, they marveled, and left him and went away. So, what does this mean? Does this mean pay your taxes to Caesar? This is the way Caesar tells us to interpret this, right? In the first century, Philo tells us that the Essenes would not handle the Roman money, the Roman coins, because the Roman coins bore the image of Caesar, and those coins, the inscription above Caesar's head declared him to be God. And so the Essenes, some sects of Essenes, would not handle the money at all because they saw it as idolatry, declaring Caesar to be God. So these men are attempting to trap Yeshua. They're not asking him an innocent question. They want to see what he says, because if he says they should pay taxes, then the Essenes, the Judeans, are going to turn against him. If he says you shouldn't pay taxes, then they're going to report him to Caesar, and he's going to be arrested. So he says, show me the tax money. And so they show him the coin. And so just imagine somebody holding up this coin with this image of Caesar. Whose likeness and image? Whose likeness is this image and inscription? Caesar's. See, you don't know what the inscription said. The inscription is declaring him to be God. So there's this coin declaring the person on the coin to be God, and it's the image of Caesar. It's not the image of Yahweh. Render therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God. What is he saying to do to Caesar? What did the Pharisees want to do to Yeshua when he said he was the Son of God, and they did what? What were they going to render to him for claiming, quote, to be God, in the process of saying he was the Son of God? They picked up stones to stone him, correct? So what is Yeshua telling them they should render to Caesar? He's saying, look, man, if you're saying this is Caesar and Caesar's declaring to be God, why are you not out there? He's accusing them of idolatry and hypocrisy. This man's claiming to be God. Render to him what is due to him. And that's why they didn't dare to ask him another question. And to this day, Caesar doesn't even know what this verse is all about. To this day, Caesar thinks it's all about Jesus saying, go ahead and pay him taxes. That ain't what he's saying. He's saying, render to Caesar what's due to him for claiming to be a god when he's not. On that day, the Sadducees and those who say that there shall not be a resurrection of the dead came to him. They asked him, saying, Rabbi, Moses said if a man dies having no children, his brother shall marry his wife and raise up offspring for his brother. Now there were among us 7 brothers. The first married and died, having no offspring, and having no offspring left his wife to his brother. In the same way the second also, and the third to the 7th. After them all, the woman died. Since she belonged to all of them in the resurrection, therefore, whose wife will she be of the 7? Because all the 7 were her husbands. But Yeshua answered them, Wherefore you are mistaken, not knowing the true things of the Scriptures. For this reason you are also ignorant of the power of God. For in the day of the resurrection men will not take women, neither will women take men, but are like the angels of God in heaven. Therefore be you prudent money changers. For it is yours, O man, to prove my words, as silver and money are proven among the exchangers. But concerning the resurrection of the dead, haven't you read that which was spoken to you by God, saying, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob? If so, God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. When the multitudes heard it, they were astonished at his wisdom. But the Pharisees saw that the Sadducees had no answer, so they came together and joined his scorners. One of them, a sage, a doctor of the Torah, asked him a question to tempt him. "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" Yeshua said to him, "You shall love Yahweh, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. In him only shall you serve. This is the first and greatest commandment. But the second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The whole Torah and the prophets are derived from these two commandments." Now when the Pharisees were gathered together, Yeshua asked them a question, saying, "What do you think of the Messiah? Whose son is he?" And they told him, "The son of David." He said to them, "Then how does David by the Holy Spirit call him Master, saying, Yahweh said to my Master, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies the footstool of your feet? If then David calls him Master, how is he his son?" No one was able to answer him a word, neither did any man dare to ask him any more questions from that day forward. Then Yeshua spoke to the multitudes and to his disciples, saying, "The scribes and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. Therefore all that he tells you to observe and do, observe and do. But don't do according to their commands. For they say and don't do. Rather they dream up and set forth heavy burdens that are grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not lift a finger to perform them. And they do all their works to be seen by men. They make their phylacteries broad and lengthen the fringes of their garments. And they love the place of honor at feasts, and to be seated first in the synagogues and the salutations in the marketplaces, to be called Rabbi, Rabbi by men. But as for you, do not desire to be called Rabbi, for one is your Rabbi, the Messiah, and you are all brothers. Do not seek for others to call you Father on earth. Likewise, don't you call any man on the earth Father, for one is your Father, he who is in heaven. Neither be called teachers, for one is your teacher, the Messiah. The greatest among you shall serve you. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. Woe to you, sages and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you divide and devour widows' wealth, offering lengthy speeches as a pretense. Therefore you will receive lengthy punishment. But woe to you, sages and Pharisees, hypocrites! Because you have received the keys of knowledge, and have hidden them, and shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. And you have not entered in yourselves, neither those who are earnestly desiring to enter do you permit to enter. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you travel a circuit of the sea and land to bind the heart of one man to your faith as a disciple, and when he becomes bound, you make him twice as much a son of Satan as he was before. Woe to you, counsel of the blind guides, who say, whoever swears by the temple it is nothing, and he is not obligated, but whoever swears by the gold of the temple, or anything consecrated to the structure, is obligated. You blind lunatics! For which is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifies the gold? And whoever swears by the altar, it is nothing, and he is not obligated, but whoever swears by that will make an offering on it, he is obligated to give it. You blind lunatics! For which is greater, the temple or the gift? He who swears by the temple swears by it, and by everything which is in it. He who swears by the throne of God swears by it, and by him who sits on it. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you pay tithes of mint, dill, and cumin, but commit robbery, and have left undone those which are the weightiest matters in the Torah: justice, mercy, piety, and truth. These are commands worthy of doing. One should not forget them. Offspring of blind guides and nitpickers, who strain out a gnat and swallow a camel. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you clean the outside of the cup and of the platters, but within they are full of wickedness, robbery, and uncleanness. You blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup, in order that the outside may become pure also. Woe to you, sages and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are like whitened tombs, which outwardly appear beautiful to mankind, but inwardly are full of the bones of the dead and filthiness. Even so, you are also outwardly appear righteous to men, but inwardly you are full of depravity, hypocrisy, and violence. Woe to you, sages and Pharisees, you hypocrites, for you bind the tombs of the prophets, you build the tombs of the prophets and decorate the tombs of the righteous, and say, if we had lived in the days of our fathers, we wouldn't have permitted them to be put to death. We wouldn't have permitted them to put to death the prophets. Therefore you testify against yourselves that you are the sons of those who killed the prophets. You behave according to the deeds of your fathers, you serpents, you offspring of vipers. How shall you escape the judgment of Gehenna if you don't turn in repentance? At that time Yeshua said to the crowd of Judeans, therefore I send you prophets and wise men and scribes. Some of them you will kill, and some of them you will scourge with whips in your synagogues and pursue from city to city, that on you may come all the righteous blood shed on the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel to the blood of Zechariah son of Jehoiakiah, whom you killed between the sanctuary and the altar. Most certainly, I tell you, all these things will come upon this generation and upon Jerusalem. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, who kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to her. How often I would have gathered your children together, even as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you would not. Behold, you will leave your houses desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me from now on until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of Yahweh. All right, that's got us another 2 chapters down, so we'll take a break here and we'll come back on chapter 24. Shalom.